You're right. This is the right thing to do. Thing is, though, why do I have to do the right thing?
Deborah.
No, I'm serious. When it comes to this much money or even less, no one else does. Nowadays, right or wrong comes down to how right you can afford to be, and I'm broke, dead broke, and my boys are suffering because of it. It's easier for you. You have less to lose, so you can afford some morality. No, don't you scoff at me. You should see what we have to eat sometimes just so I can afford to pay rent.
We'll put some details up in a sec. It's at the Red Rock Theatre. It's the Magnolia Tree. It's a play with three siblings come together to put their mum in a nursing home, and then the brother, Machiavellian-wise, suggests that they let her go tonight because she's got profound Alzheimer's. She doesn't know who they are, and it really, you see all three characters' morality challenged and changed. But at the end of it, the twist is the audience decides whether they do it or not. And it's been on numerous times. I'm not sure. I thought about 50 or 60 times. What I do know is 58% of the time Australian audiences vote to allow the cast to murder the mother. So death is winning every time this play goes on for some reason. And it's very funny. It's very moving. It's shit hot. So Google the Magnolia Tree reviews and you'll find it. Anyway, let's get on to this. We've been called up. I've got my partner in crime, the Oost.
Hey there. Hey there, Michael.
And we got someone we haven't had on before, but we're big fans of. We wanted to get on. It's Tony. Look at him. He's looking very Jedi Knight-like here with whatever he's wearing around there. Looks good. Yeah, man, I'm into it. And of course, the person who should be Australia of the Year, absolutely hands down, Dr. Miley. And hopefully your internet works. I'll get us moving around. I'll come down the bottom here with the comments. And Dr. Miley called me up today and said, I want to come on your show today. Okay, sure. So we bumped everyone up and here we are.
Well, we had a great day yesterday. It might have been cold and rainy in Sydney, but in the tribunal in room 7C, which was overflowing, Michael. It was overflowing. There were so many people, but let Miley tell you the story. It was a fantastic day.
Yes. Yes. So yesterday was the closing submission hearing of my tribunal hearing. So my tribunal hearing, the Healthcare Complaints Commission initiated this proceeding since the 10th of August 2023. So they started this. They filed the application to prosecute me to cancel my license in August 2023, and it started when I was about to go to the Court of Appeal hearing to challenge this law that's very, very important for all health practitioners in Australia. And it's called Section 145D1. And it's one that my friend there, Dr. Oosterhuis, very familiar with. Yeah, up there. And so I believe that the timing of that application to prosecute me was to prevent me getting to the Court of Appeal, or because if they could cancel my license before I have the hearing, then I won't have any standing. Now, I was quite unwell at the time, and so I asked for adjournment of the hearing. So I faced the hearing this time before in December. So I had 4 days hearing in December, and 3 days in March of this year. So the Healthcare Complaints Commission accused me of practicing significantly below standard for prescribing ivermectin to various people. And also, one of the patients, I've used high-dose steroid to treat cytokine storm because she's quite unwell. And the other accusation was that the other accusation, it's cutting in and out. The other accusation was that I failed to comply with the Section 34 of the Healthcare Complaints Act, which is a section, which is an order that required me to surrender 20 to 30 patients' medical files. Now, if they find me practicing significantly below standard, then they can cancel my license. Or if they say that I'm guilty, or they can make a finding that I'm guilty of failing to surrender those files, then I could be found guilty of professional misconduct. And either of those could result in cancellation of my license. So they want to cancel my license for up to 5 years. And also, if I'm guilty, I could be fined up to $55,000, depending on what I would be guilty of. So this is the first stage of the hearing. And then once there's a finding, there will be a second stage of the hearing. So this hearing that I went into yesterday was the hearing for the summing up of the 7 days of hearing in this 4 days in December and 3 days in March of this year. Now, what happened is that I had been legally represented. So I had a lawyer, I had a solicitor that ran the case, and a barrister to speak on my behalf. But what happened is that when closing submission was due, I had issue with my barrister. He wouldn't write what I wanted him to write in my case. And so we had a fallout, and I dismissed him. And I only had a few days to work on my case. And the judge kind enough to give me an extra 7 days. So I had roughly about 10, 11 days to work on my closing submission. And there was just a lot to do. So I basically have to write 20 page or up to 20 page of summing up of the hearing that was happening for over 7 days hearing. So during the course of that, I discovered something that I hadn't sort of realized, but essentially what I suspected all along, that the whole case against me has been unlawful anyway. But as I looked through the documents, I was able to prove that it was definitely unlawful in law. So I developed a case. I wrote up a case and I submitted my closing submission. And but then I have to present it before the tribunal. And I felt that I wasn't good enough to speak by myself. And I thought that my friend there, Tony, could do a better job for me. And so we put in an application last week or the week before. And ordinarily, the Healthcare Complaints Commission shouldn't oppose that, but they did. They opposed it vehemently. They said that I don't have PTSD and that I should have used the lawyer from the insurance company whom I dismissed the previous time in July. My hearing's supposed to have been in July, but it got adjourned again because the insurance lawyer, I have evidence that they weren't working in my best interest. So that's why. So anyway, at the beginning of the hearing, the judge had to decide whether Tony was going to be my, whether they're going to approve the application for Tony to speak on my behalf. So maybe Tony can share your experience, what happened on that day or yesterday at the beginning.
Would you like to fill the rest in, Tony, of what you thought how the court case went?
Well, I mean, I'd like to go back to the very beginning when, I don't know, 30 to 40 people appeared in the courtroom, and we wasted the first half hour of proceedings deciding to leave the courtroom door open. I think we should mention that was an important thing that happened yesterday. It was people power, and Billy Field spoke
We lost your audio.
I can't hear you, Tony.
What's happened to your audio? Yeah, it's true. It's true, Michael. We had he might have just muted himself somewhere.
I think you might have muted yourself, Tony. Oh, that's it. Try now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep. Yeah, all good, Tony.
Am I on?
Yep.
You're good. We can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's just a bit laggy. That's it.
My link's breaking up.
That's right. Carry on.
Should I turn my camera off to try and...
No, it's perfect now. We can hear you.
Sorry?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so, okay, yesterday started with the public gallery being flooded by, I don't know, 30 or 40 people. There was only room in the courtroom itself for about, I think it was 17 seats. And so everybody came in and sat on the floor. And I thought to myself, where are the sheriffs? Normally the sheriffs are there to tell us we can't sit on the floor. But there are no sheriffs there. The sheriffs were talking to the judge, who was clear the courtroom. And he said, well, can you move us to a bigger courtroom? And they said, no. And he said, well, can you live stream it? And they said, no. And came out and announced that the judge had agreed to leave the doors open on the understanding that everybody would remain silent. And everybody did, and the doors were left open. And the, several dozen people in the foyer were able to listen in, although they couldn't hear anything the judge said, but they did follow what Miley said. So it was like a little mini victory for the people by the sheriffs, because the sheriff's job is not the henchman for the judge. They are used as the henchman for the judge, and everybody thinks that's their role, but their role is not to be a henchman for the judge. It's to be an advocate for the people. It's to make sure the people, we get justice. And part of justice being done, it's got to be public. It's got to be presented to the public. So if 40 people turn up to something, they've got to make sure they hear it. And I think that's why I think the sheriff said to the judge backstage, because he wanted to lock the doors at every stage. And I think they said to him, listen, we can't do that. We can't deny them access to these proceedings. So to me, it was a win for the people. And I think Billy Field, who has a lot of distinguished lawyers as friends and knows very well our rights fundament. He's been working with the Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering since its inception. In fact, he
Maybe you could take over, Paul. I think we're losing Tony. You've muted yourself, Paul.
so it started and like Tony said, that there was a lot of energy. There were a lot of people there. People wanted to hear it. They wondered why it wasn't being live streamed, because it's in the public interest. And it seems to me like the tribunal was doing everything it can to limit, even to the extent of denying the people who came, sometimes from interstate, long distances, and said, oh, no, sorry, no chairs, you sit out in the hallway. And no speaker so that they could hear, no accommodation for those people who had traveled long distances, so that part was pretty ordinary. But they did, agree to leave the door open, and so long as people were quiet outside. Again, it's disappointing that they didn't facilitate that. It's like they're trying to hide or prevent the public from seeing it. In my mind, it was a sufficient public interest that they should have live streamed it. But
yes,
but that said, once we got going, it took half an hour or so to get rid of it before they were willing to come out and start. And Miley ran most of the day, I think. They got Tony to back away from the table. They were virtually threatening to throw him out like some sort of.
Oh, really?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just come back in. Are you there, Tony?
Yes. I've turned my camera off because I think my camera is impeding my connection. So if you like, I'll just go ahead
Tony.
verbally.
Yeah, no problem, Tony. Paul,
no,
just
there
tell
was
him where you're up to, Paul.
No, I've been listening for the last minute or so.
Okay, cool.
Once the judge came on, after he'd sorted out the public gallery mess, he came on and went into a 10-minute thing about Miley's application to have me disallowed from becoming her advocate. And it boiled down to the fact that I had shown very disruptive behaviour, and as a result, the process of the court had been slowed down, and I was a strain on the public purse.
That's right.
Whereas
Wow.
I had not wasted, well, I probably wasted 30 seconds of the court time when right back in the beginning, I was so affronted by the line of questioning of the 4 members of NCAT and the barrister for the HCCC. The 5 of them were going at Miley like a pack of dogs. I mean, it was just revolting, purely revolting. And look, I knew I had to be quiet, but it just spontaneously came out of my mouth, and I yelled out, "Objection, Your Honour." And he said, "Who's that?" And I jumped to my feet, proudly jumped to my feet. I said, "That was me, Your Honour." And he said, this is the first encounter I'd had with him. And then in a very quiet voice, he said, "Would you mind being quiet while the proceedings go ahead?" So that was the extent of my time wasting. It was less than 1 minute, less than 1 minute. And he wasted, I would estimate now overall, at least half an hour talking about me and trying to.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it is he that has wasted the court's time attempting to discredit me and attempting to intimidate me by accusing me of trying to intimidate him. I mean, it's farcical. And all the evidence points to exactly what I've said. It's all there in the court record. He's got nothing to back up his assertion that I wasted that 30 seconds or not, whatever it was, less than.
Tony, there was one moment.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. Well, there was one moment, one particular time I remember during yesterday, where I could have done the same thing. I wouldn't have yelled objection, but it was when they were talking, it was after you said, "This is process as punishment. What you're doing is a form of punishment." And they denied it. And I couldn't say anything. I just sort of had a little upchuck in my mouth. You know, it was stifled. But
Yes.
no, seriously, it was a level of evil because they're well aware of the distress they cause with these actions. You know, they're wielding a weapon, and then they're denying that no, it's not a sword, it's a feather. You know, that sort of, and you know, there were times where some of the humanity of the members seemed to appear. But that particular moment, I thought, oh my God, these guys know full well what they're doing is injurious to the doctors, and some of them, you know, have committed suicide, like Dr. Yap and others. So you know, that was my moment where I could have. I was going to yell, but instead of just a bit of vomit.
Amazing. I just got to stick in now. We got to do some a few tiny little ads. I'll be with you in 2 secs, guys. So this is coming up now. Everything's becoming normal. This is the if Kelly can put the link up. These are the blue bees. We've just got the merch here. Now the blue bee is it doesn't look like this. It's a blue banded bee. It's an Australian native. It doesn't live in hives. It doesn't follow a queen, but it wants to be a part of society because it pollinates flowers, but it does so by raising the vibration of the flowers. It vibrates over them. I'd never heard of them, but now everywhere I go, everyone's talking about them. They've got their pictures of them. And the other thing, it lives in a hole in the ground, so it does rabbit holing as well. So basically 832 is what we want. That's what we want the truth to wake us up. But the blue bee is a symbol of who we are. And it's a non-confrontational symbol. And it's just something that we're hoping people might start wearing, caps or hats or whatever. This is my fave. That's a pajama top. This is my fave coming up. If we can just remove that banner, the dog bowl. So, and basically it's just, if you're walking down the street and you see someone else with a blue bee on them somewhere, a badge, a top, anything like maybe their dog leash, you just know they're on your side. So you can come up confidently, say I was passing Dr. Miley and so she didn't know who I was, and I could go, oh, blue beer, and then suddenly we know who we are. So it's a start, just the seed of a fashion label that might, and anybody can make their own bees. You just make your own bee. It's just, as long as it's blue, and it's just to see whether we can start basically spreading more hope by having the courage to be seen. And it's non-confrontational. So this is why we're going with this one too. So that's it. Ad over. How'd I do?
I love it.
Thanks, brother. Yeah.
I love the sound of this animal too. I'll have to do a bit of research.
I've never heard of it. It should be a national treasure.
No.
It is so cool. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to my league because I've got limited time tonight, so we can rave on about the bee later. But yeah, let's see how we're going. I want to hear what you said, Dr. Miley, in our time. I heard that when you finally had your say, you were like, ba-bang.
Yeah. So I was concerned that without legal representation, they're going to make it difficult for me. So, and throughout these proceedings, they have made it very difficult for me and for my expert witnesses. A lot of my expert witnesses were subjected to prolonged interrogation about all kinds of unnecessary and unimportant issues. So I wrote a letter to the president of NCAT, and I expressed my unhappiness about what's been happening throughout my hearings. And I said that the judges were not, or the members of the tribunal were not acting impartially, and she needs to do something about it. And I said that I wanted to make sure that this hearing that I'm coming into, that it's it's not going to be the same as what's happening in the past. Now, I didn't hear back from her, but last Monday, I got an email from the tribunal that they're investigating the matter and they considered that as a complaint. So I said, wow, that's really interesting.
Against you or by you?
No, it's the letter that I've sent is being used, is being considered as a complaint against these tribunal members.
Wow.
So,
fantastic.
and also in my submission, in my closing submission, I've detailed what happened, and I made an issue about the unfairness of the proceedings. So,
Idea, Chris.
at the beginning of the hearing, after they dismissed Tony, it means that I have to speak for myself. Now, I always think that they would never allow Tony to speak, but we just want to give it a try. But so I was prepared to step in and do that if I had to, and so that's what happened. But the fact that they've been investigated and they've been sort of warned, they were really good to me compared to all the hearings I've had in the previous 2 hearings. So the judge was how do I say, he wasn't, because I said to the judge that I was unhappy, or we'll come to that, but basically he gave me time. He didn't pressure me, and it was, like it was very measured process, and he was understanding, and he allows me time to speak and to make a case. So I felt that he thought that if he stopped me from reading what I've written, then I don't have anything to say. So he basically asked me to speak. Now, normally, the Healthcare Complaints Commission should make a case before me. They should be the one who should go first, and then I am the defense. I go second. But no, I had to go first. So I made a case, and that's fine with me because I have a lot more to say than the Healthcare Complaints Commission. So I started making a case. And essentially my case is about the fact that every process throughout the entire 4 years that they've subjected me to, or nearly 4 years, has been unlawful. And so the 2 initial complaints, the Westmead complaint and the John Smith complaints, those complaints didn't meet the legal requirement to subject me to the emergency suspension hearing in the first place. And so technically my suspension under 150 was unlawful. And then from then, they failed to refer me to the tribunal. So this is the law that's really, really important. Section 145D, open bracket 1, close bracket, of the national law. And this is the legislation that Dr. Paul Oosterhuis challenged, because the law requires them to refer us to the tribunal to have an independent hearing. So the minute they think that, so if the complaint is serious, if they had at any time, they consider that the matter is serious and warrant, if substantiated, could result in suspension or cancellation of license, they must, and they have a duty to refer. So it's a mandatory requirement, and it cannot be omitted. And by not doing that, we are under the hands of the Healthcare Complaints Commission and the Medical Council. And this is how they can control us. So by referring us, they could no longer control us. But by keeping us by not doing that, they continue to suspend us for years on end and then subject us to a prosecution. And we never had a hearing. I've never had a hearing before, and all of a sudden I'm being prosecuted. So that's how unfair it is. So I took this matter to the Court of Appeal. And even with that, my case was dismissed. And so my hearing at the Court of Appeal was incorrectly ruled. So as a result, I've been under the hands of the Healthcare Complaints Commission. And then finally, they gathered enough evidence, whatever they could get, and then they subjected me to a prosecution hearing. So this hearing before the tribunal is an attempt to cancel my license. So I made a case. I explained how the first complaint was unlawful. The second, it didn't meet the requirement that could result in this Section 150 hearing. And even if it did, and they suspended me, they have to refer me. And then I talk about the complaint that is before the hearing that I'm before the tribunal now is as a result of a third complaint that came about that was concealed from me for many months. So this complaint was made by the medical council, even though they weren't supposed to, they by law, they're not supposed to make a complaint, but they secretly made a complaint and they didn't tell me. And then they told me months later. So when in law, by legislation, if someone make a complaint against a doctor, then you need to we need to be served of the complaint. You need to know what the complaint is about, who it's from, and you get given an opportunity to respond to that. Now, I didn't get an opportunity to respond to the medical council's complaint. Moreover, this panel that made a complaint against me, they were the one that adjudicate, so they were the judge over my matter in the Section 150 hearing. So they are a judge and they now an accuser as well. And so they knew this is unlawful. So that's why they hid it from me for they hid it from me for many months. So once we found out, it was like 6 months down the track, and they said, oh, the complaint is the document that's called reasons for suspension. So the document that the medical council had written up about the hearing was the complaint against me. And I got told that 6 months later. Now that is unlawful in many, it's an error of law that is really significant that could be considered jurisdictional error. So my case is the same as Dr. Billy Bay's case, because the same situation happened to Billy, and the judge, Justice Bradley, ruled that the APRA, because he had a complaint against him, and the person who made a complaint against him was also the convener of the Section 150 hearing. So that's why he won his case, because the judge said this is jurisdictional error. And when you have an error in law, there's no case. Yeah. So that's why Dr. Billy Bay got his license, and there's no record of him even having had a suspension at all.
No way.
Yeah. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, good.
No, I did not know that.
No, you didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
There's no record of him ever being suspended. They have to correct that. And it's the same case with me.
These bodies are acting unlawfully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it, but I just hadn't heard that.
Follows.
Yeah. Had you heard that, Tony?
Yes. Oh. No, but they've got to cover their tracks, right? They've made an error, and the best way to cover their tracks is to clean the record. They're doing it they're doing it for their own reasons. They're not doing it to help Billy Bay.
Oh no, I totally get it. I totally get it.
Oh no, I think I think that's wrong, Tony. The court, because if you have an error in law, whatever took place is nothing. So you need to clean that. No, that requirement is required by law. No, they didn't do that. They would want Billy Bay to have a record of being suspended, but the court wouldn't allow that because whatever happened
Yeah,
to
they
him
would because they're
lawful. Sorry.
no, they would because they're stupid. Well,
No.
absolutely. The medical.
Anyway, so
Okay, that's not my take on it.
yeah. So I made a point. It's a really big point. It's the point that would win my case because the complaint that's been brought before the tribunal is the complaint concerning the medical council, because they dropped the other two complaints at the beginning and they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. They kept pretending that those two other complaints are all part of the proceeding before the court now, before the tribunal now. And it was so fortunate because one of the internal email that they produced, it caught my attention. And I said, oh, what's this colorful document? And I looked at it and it said that I'm indefinitely suspended. And so that document was the one that helped me a lot. So that document was when the medical council emailed the Healthcare Complaints Commission saying that she's a danger and this is a very serious situation, and so we have to refer the matter to the Healthcare Complaints Commission. So they have to show the court that they have exercised that section 1550D, 150D, because every step triggers the next step. So they need to show that. So they have to hand in that internal document. And luckily I saw that and I say, what is that? And so that document, and that document dated back since November 2021. So only a couple of weeks after I was suspended. And that document showed that the two original complaints gone. The complaint that's before the Healthcare Complaints Commission is the third complaint. And this was all in the documentation. And so by legislation, that's wrong. They can't create a complaint retrospectively. In fact, the complaint that the medical council made against me was after my suspension. And even that was an unlawful complaint too. They can't do that. They can't be a judge and a complainant. And they knew that, and they don't want me to know. But I found out. So as a result of that, I'm able to prove that the case before the tribunal now is based on the invalid complaint.
Wow.
Wow. It should have never gone ahead. And you can see, Michael, that Mai Lee is the best lawyer that Mai Lee has ever had.
Well, what I think it is that what I know is they looked at this woman, they thought, look, there's this small Asian woman, she probably can't even speak English, she'll be easy. We'll easily get rid of her, or just they didn't realize that they were dealing with what is it, hidden dragon, crouching tiger, or whatever. They didn't realize they didn't realize who they were. They totally underestimated their opponent, put it that way. And that's the steel in you is incredible. It's the same with all your doctors, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of you, doctor.
Well, the injustice is so grave, Michael, that
it's insane. It's like the
just,
Sopranos, you know.
Yeah.
It's just so evil, you know.
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes before we have to go to the other show. I was going to suggest, Miley, since there's so much material here, maybe we should have this as like a taster. And why don't you come on Sunday with Ooster? Tony can come on too if he can get a better audio, a better camera, and come on and have a really longer chat and really get all of it out. I think that would be great. And we can advertise it as this. We're coming back on Sunday to hear it all, because basically you're exposing them for just being completely and utterly corrupt.
Yeah.
And Dr. William Bay's done the same. And Dr. Oosterhuis has done the same. I mean, it's just astonishing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to afford procedural fairness.
Yes.
They have to follow the same statutes that they derive their powers from. Otherwise, they don't have powers.
Yes.
Their powers are derived from the statutes. And if they can't just choose not to do a step and think that there's no consequences. And what me and Miley and Billy have been asserting is this is very serious when they choose not to follow a step. And then everything that follows is lacking validity. You know? So they shouldn't have happened. None of this should have happened. But I thought Miley did such a great job. It went for several hours. Yes, there was rebuttal by the HCCC, but and there were flickers of humanity coming from the panel. But I think she gave them very good grounds for them to really look at what the HCCC is up to here.
How do you feel, Miley? How do you feel inside after this long journey? Sorry, Tony.
I felt it was a relief, and I felt I was really happy that the judge allowed me, or didn't allow Tony to represent to speak for me, and I have that opportunity because I spoke from the heart and I know my case inside out.
Oh yeah, you do.
Now he thought that if he gets rid of Tony, and then I had another friend who's a support person, he got kicked out too, that I'm gonna be falling apart. I'm gonna fall apart, and if he gets me, not allow me to read the document that I prepared, that I'm gonna fall apart, and but I'm the one that I know my case really well, so I put a case forward. I explained carefully. So I'm really happy that I could speak, and I spoke from my heart, and I know where the errors are, and I'm able to express that whole thing. And the fact that he allowed me to do that without unnecessary interruption, and he was very, procedurally was very good, and they didn't have, they didn't interrupt inappropriately, they didn't give me a hard time. I was allowed to speak, and that was perfect. So I got to say everything that I wanted to say. I got to tell the Healthcare Complaints Commission that shame on you.
Did you really say that?
Yeah, I did.
I'm afraid we have to go. We have this other show,
okay.
But keep that, Miley. That's great. Shame on you, you said. Maybe even reach out to anyone else who came who might like to have a say. That might be the best way to get it, having people who want to come on, get Tony back on, or anyone else who wants to speak. But we have to go now for this other show. But so this was a rush show to get Dr. Miley on here so we could hear. So let's see this as a taster and come back on Sunday and we can hear the full 9 yards. Tony, thanks for coming on. And look, Tony, get in touch. I don't have your email or phone or anything. Maybe Kelly does, but I'd love to interview you, brother. There's anyway, I'm going to have to go off. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, Oost. Good to see you. And yeah, okay. Take care. See ya.
What I found, the church we built on the black